What's up, guys? It's Ruka here, and I have Michael here with me.
Hello, as
And
always.
yes, as always, and we're doing things a little differently. This is an off-camera video for today, but we are gonna be doing something a little special. So I was kind of prompted by Michael bringing this up in the group chat, but today, I have made this slideshow to talk about the post-BBC LOONA groups that have come out that can help with. I think I felt like doing a video for this because I figured doing this would also help like newer fans who may be coming into the fandom and being like, what's with all these different groups? What's going on? How are they all connected to LOONA? Like I thought
Mm.
I thought something like this would be helpful for newer or just for casual fans who were curious like Michael, who even though he doesn't follow LOONA or any of them, he was still curious about them.
I'm curious because Ruka here obviously was in orbit. Now there's like so many groups. It's just like I don't think I'd be able to keep up with all of them.
Mm.
So yeah, I will keep my distance.
Well, all right then. In that case, we shall begin with the first slide. So, first off, just a quick introduction to who is LOONA. So, obviously, LOONA is a 12-member Korean girl group, idol group, who originally debuted under Blockberry Creative. They are no longer affiliated with them, but we will get to that here in a bit. And obviously, one of the main driving points of when they originally debuted was the fact that they had a very unique pre-debut process that was unlike any K-pop group that had ever debuted before. They did a pre-debut process where each of the members were revealed one by one and then released a solo single. Then, as more members gathered, they divided them up into 3 subunits until all 12 were revealed, and then the full group debuted on August 20th, 2018, with their debut album Plus Plus, which is 2 days before my birthday. I just find that very cute. So yeah, it was a very unique drawing point for them because with most groups you think, oh, they all debut, all the members are revealed and debut as a group, and then you get subunits or solo releases later on, but they essentially did the reverse version. Moving.
I was gonna say something that's just gone over my head.
Okay.
Carry on. I've
Okay.
forgotten.
I know that you're still a little sleepy, you're still a little groggy from your nap.
Yeah.
But yes, we'll go on to talk a little bit about the subunits. So, the 3 subunits that came out, official subunits, not counting stuff like collabs and one-offs, because there was a couple of those, but these are the 3 main subunits that were originally created during the pre-debut era leading up to their debut. So, first we have LOONA 1/3, which is made up of 4 kind of 5 members. It's a little complicated because the member lineups, which you see here on the album from left to right, is Vivi, Heejin, Hassel, and Hyunjin. And there's one more member who's often associated with LOONA 1/3 because she debuted in between Hassel and Vivi. Yojin, the youngest of the group, the baby of the group for LOONA, she debuted around that time and is frequently associated with LOONA 1/3, but she did not actively promote with them. And I don't think it was ever officially like cleared up or stated like what the exact reason was, but most fans tend to speculate that it was either because she was too young to promote with them because she was like 14, 15 when she initially debuted as a member, or it was because she was focused on school and studies and getting her grades up. So, because she was still a middle school student. So, basically, one of those two reasons are like the most commonly speculated on like why Yojin didn't promote with them. But she is still most commonly associated with them. She has certain symbols that are connected with 1/3 that being representative countries. All of them got to go to different countries around the world, like France, Europe, Iceland, London, Tokyo, and stuff like that. They got to go to different locations around the world to film some of their music videos. And Yojin, the B-sides for her single were filmed in Taiwan, and
Huh.
the album the photo shoot for that of like the contents within the album were also shot in Taiwan. So yeah.
Interesting. Like
So yeah.
I do like that kind of concept of like filming around the world, like not as a group but individually. If you get what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah, it
Then
was
that
really
seems
cool
interesting.
too, especially with like the different set pieces. Like with Hassel, there was like her solo music video in Iceland where she shot at like this icy fields with the really pretty snow and the mountains in the background and like the plane wreckage that she got to go to of like this wrecked plane that's in the middle of nowhere in Iceland. That was so cool. But then in London, they filmed a Christmas music video where it was Keaton,
Oh,
Hyunjin, and Hassel, all of them just spending the holidays together, buying gifts, and then partying. It was so cute. The Carol is such a
I
good
can imagine.
video.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did not keep up this, unfortunately, probably due to budgeting reasons, because having to fly to different locations around the world
Mm.
is very expensive. But the other units, they did actually get to film group envies in LA, Los Angeles, and Hungary, respectively, for Odd Eye Circle and YY.
Okay.
Odd Eye Circle as well being the second unit, this time being a trio of Kim Lip Jin Sol and Cherry. All three of these members, they recently made a comeback as well since they are under Mod House, and they had recently a new mini album come out the previous year with Version Up. And compared to 1/3, where 1/3 was sort of like this innocent, very cute, sort of retro inspired sound and concept, like a lot of 1/3 songs have sort of like a retro sound to them. Odd Eye Circle is a bit more of a modern teen crush slash girl crush. They go for a much more mature image. And that's reflected in their music videos too, where like Eclipse kind of blew up because it was such a stark change from with LOONA 1/3 kind of setting everything up and showing like a more innocent, cute side to the group, and then Kim Lip was so strikingly different with her like her dancing and her visuals of like the blonde hair and the red lips and her dancing in these beautiful red outfits. It's like it blew up exponentially and really helped garner a bit more international fame for them because they were a cooler girl crush concept that was really popular with foreign fans.
Mhm. I genuinely just don't have much to say, but so far it's interesting to see like these subunits, like the differing concepts, like kind of coming together to make Luna the group.
Mhm.
Like,
Same with Y by Y as well. They were really interesting because, like, on the one hand, they sort of lean into the darker concept, but then also they have a cute concept. It's kind of like they have a little bit of both. Because you think of CHUU, for example, who's in this unit. CHUU, Heart Attack, is so bubbly and energetic and bright and lovely. Like, that sort of encapsulates her personality. And apparently, from what I understand, is that the initial concept was that Y by Y were gonna do something dark for their album concept, but then they saw that Heart Attack was super popular, so they changed it to a cute concept. but it still had some dark elements there, like in the music videos and in some lore-related videos that they did, aside from the album promotions and stuff like that. But also, YY by Y, a lot of their songs concepts for like the solo singles as well were about self-love. Like LOONA 1/3 was about like first love, first crushes, romance and heartbreak. Odd Eye Circle was about actively pursuing romance rather than waiting for it. And then YY by Y is like I love myself was kind of their whole image. Like Heart Attack is kind of an exception because it is about she is singing about pining after someone else, but other than that, there is still predominantly a core theme of them expressing love for themselves in YY by Y. Also, this point at the bottom here, the canceled repackage. So yeah, YY by Y was the only pre-debut unit who didn't have a repackage of their mini album when they initially came out. We know that it was in the works. The album title for it was called Femme Fatale, or Femme and Fatale, but it just never came out. I think maybe it was because the company wanted to push for the group debut a little bit sooner, so they just scrapped the plans to have the repackage album. But yeah, that's kind of the gist that we get for each of these three subunits and each of the vibes they have. Moving on from that, I made a couple bullet points here about after debut from 2018 to 2022, talking about some of the achievements that the groups had after they debuted. So, starting from 2018 when they initially debuted, their debut EP ranked second on the Gaon album chart and was the second best selling debut album for a girl group of that year. I forget who it was that beat them out, but yeah, nonetheless to say, LOONA's debut was highly anticipated, having come from about 2 years or so of them having these pre-releases of solos and subunits basically hyping them up. There was a lot of excitement surrounding the group, and Hi Hi did really well for them. The following year, with the repackage of which became Multiple Multiple or XX, the official name is Multiple Multiple, but a lot of people I hear kind of short it to XX, which is kind of easier to read. Butterfly gave them even more success afterwards, with Butterfly becoming their most viewed MV. At the time, it is now their second most viewed behind Paint the Town, which came out 2 years afterwards. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And the group was starting to get a lot more international success after they participated in KCON LA that same year. Like, their appearance at the venue was so big, people were calling it LOONACON instead of KCON. It was that big of a deal. During this time, however, there was a bit of a hiatus due to, because of a lot of internal issues that were going on within the company, from the album shortages and creative issues with the company and the creative director. After KCON LA and some side stuff that they were doing where they were like participating and performing in certain festivals, there was kind of a drought period. They weren't really doing much or releasing any music. It was because of those internal issues that an album that they had planned to release, which was called Hash or Burn, kind of got pushed back. But after that, in near the end of 2019, they released a single called 365, which was a fan dedicated song. They had a little fan event before that, and Unfortunately, this was the time when the leader Hassel went on hiatus due to issues with anxiety. But 2020, they were kind of starting to get back on the uptake again. They were going for a new sound and concept, which was it's still pretty divisive among the fandom, because with Hi Hi, for example, it's very bright and energetic. With Butterfly, it's very elegant and dreamy. And then with So What, which was their first comeback after that year, it's very harsh, very hardcore girl crush. So a lot of people are still divisive on that. Honestly, personally speaking, I still have a soft spot for it because it was my first comeback after becoming a fan. And it was also the year that they got their first win. So what granted them their first music show win. So yeah, I'm gonna have a soft spot for that because that also helps give them a lot of success. They had their comeback with the Midnight album and Why Not, which led to the release of Star as a special single, giving them even more international success, doing like interviews with English international channels and stuff like that. It was so cool. Following that, in 2021, we had Hassel's return to the group and the And album with Paint the Town, which I imagine just for the hype of that, because of the success that the previous year had gained them, is why the PTT music video got such a large uptake in views. It's like, yeah, they were kind of on a roll after 2020, and now with the leader back, it was exciting to see what they were gonna do for that. Unfortunately, promotions for Paint the Town and the And album were kind of cut short because a staff had contracted COVID, and so they kind of shut down promotions prematurely to quarantine the members. A little bit unfortunate that that happened, but silver lining, a little later on down the road, we got their Japanese debut with Hula Hoop, which is amazing. I love it. And then 2022, which had a lot going on. They had their first live concert since the pandemic, because before this they were doing like the filmed lives for streaming, or like with the KCON events as well, which were streamed as well. There weren't any live audiences, or the audiences were, watching through Zoom chat.
Mm.
But I can personally speak from experience, but being at a live venue for a concert is so much different energy.
Mm.
Such different energy. And then after the
Mm.
concert, they participated in Queendom 2. They got the runner up, which was incredible, obviously. And then their summer mini album release with Flip That, following the announcement of their first world tour. So there was a lot of excitement with that. And then, well, I think this gift speaks for itself on how drastic things became after that. Wouldn't you agree?
As an outside spectator, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about why Blockberry Creative are the worst. So during the first half of 2022, aside from major stuff like Queendom 2 and Flip That promotions, CHUU was strangely absent for a lot of group events, like their first concert in February, the world tour, which was a huge deal, and their what would be their first and their last Japanese comeback, Luminous. So there was a lot of like confusion because they were being very vague about it and not giving any specific answers as to why CHUU isn't doing any of these things. We were just all like, what is going on here? Blockberry just very bluntly announced that they had kicked CHUU from LOONA out of the group. Basically, it had come to light that they had been pulling a lot of the support for her for things like transport to filming venues and stuff like that for Flip That shootings or participation in group activities after the album promotions happened, citing all of this as them basically saying that CHUU was verbally abusing the staff, which nobody was taking for a second. The fan outrage towards Blockberry was immense during this time, and immediately following these events, the remaining members of LOONA all filed injunctions on their exclusive contracts with the company, and by June 2023, all of them had successfully won their lawsuits and left the company. And I can also say, because there were other artists and trainees who were under BBC at the time, they're all left, they all gone too, so Blockberry has nothing now. What's even more is that during this time when the initial fallout and the injunctions were happening, they still tried to push out a comeback for the group with the Origin album, Oh, just basically trying to push it out, saying like, oh, we can do this and people will ignore this. The problem will just go away on its own if we just give them more music. Yeah, no, that did not happen. Because as soon as they announced this, people decided, okay, you know what? We're boycotting this shit. And the fandom-wide boycott was a massive success. The album was indefinitely delayed in the most massive air quotes you can imagine. And there has been nothing from them since.
I mean, I think that was probably part of the downfall, because obviously the fans weren't like, especially after they've announced they fired CHUU, it was kind of like not a matter of if,
Just a matter of
like,
when.
but more a matter of when, like, Blockberry would implode. Like, I'm looking from this from the outside, obviously, but the amount of orbits I have on my Twitter timeline happened, like, it was all over my For You page, it was all over my timeline, and it was just like, yeah, Blockberry really under.
No, yeah, I agree, because like you can't just pull something like that and expect people to come flocking to you. It's like, no, we're not supporting you because of the company and the stuff you put out. It's like we're supporting the girls. And even before all this happened, we knew that Blockberry wasn't exactly a perfect company, as we'll talk a little bit more about in the continued section. But it's like, we knew that, like, yeah, they're not perfect, but we figured that's like, oh, okay, as long as they're at least paying the girls, though, and treating them right, And probably the girls thought so as well, as like, as long as we're just making music together and seeing our fans, then it's all gonna be okay. But them kicking out CHUU was the tipping point for everyone. Everyone within the company and without who was supporting LOONA and wanted to support the girls. That was the tipping point of them saying, okay, we can no longer in good conscience support you. But yes, to talk a little bit more about prior to and after the period of time when the fallout and the injunctions were happening, the LOONA members, as well as some of the staff that were hired under them, had been revealing details of the company management of the group, including the lack of pay for the staff team and the members. There were some staff who had come out about like, yeah, we don't get paid for any of our work, which was like, that was pretty sketchy to hear that. Them not being
Like,
allowed time outside for
not.
long periods
Sorry.
of time, which go ahead.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. Talk in a bit.
But yeah, that's the thing too. Them not being allowed outside. CHUU has talked about it, like the stress of like having to work or train in the company building and not being able to go outside just to get some fresh air. As well as the restrictive diets that they were undergoing. Now, unhealthy diets and eating habits are unfortunately not an uncommon thing in the K-pop music industry. There are a lot of cases in which some idols have unhealthy eating habits. It's just heartbreaking to see all around, because you think a lot of these girls start out so young. Again, speaking about Yojin, who was 14 when she joined the company, she had basically been conditioned for the longest time to follow with this very limited diet, and that developed some unhealthy habits that thankfully she is now working to correct, and she has the other members and staff at the new company of CTD, sorry. They're trying to help her kind of correct these unhealthy habits that she's been, learned to cope with. So thankful for that. And CHUU as well has been a lot more vocal recently about talking about her own mental health issues with eating disorders and other mental health issues, of basically trying to put on a happy face and a positive demeanor for fans due to her image being like, this bright cutesy idol and stuff like that. But yeah, that does a toll on you if that's all you're known for and you can't really express like the more deeper, personable, vulnerable sides of yourself without fear of backlash. Which I think is why I love the Howl
I
release so
think.
much, because you look at Howl and it is such a clear, even though the song is bright and hopeful, there's still that like vulnerable side to her. Like she's showing this very vulnerable side to herself of like the struggles that she's went through and her working to overcome that. It's like that's why I love it so much.
And it's like, it's not really just with K-pop idols, like especially the female idols as well. It's like generally female celebrities don't really get a chance to, talk about their own personal, like especially in Southeast Asia, like they don't get the opportunity to really speak out, like to air out their own like personal issues. It's kind of still like very taboo.
Yeah. Like this is a problem everywhere, but like especially in South Asian countries, like you were saying, like Korea or Japan, where they don't exactly respect women all that much.
Yeah, like especially with like things like dating scandals, especially dating scandals in terms of like Japanese female idols. Like the backlash is more on the women than the men. and it's
Mhm.
kind of like you see a lot of male idols in Japan as well getting dating scandals, but it's not like the backlash on
Yeah.
them is not as bad as it is with the women,
Yeah,
and it's
like
just like
it is still a problem. Like there are instances both in K-pop and J-pop of where like male celebrities or male idols have like very obsessive stalker fans or backlash for like, say for example, I think this happened with a male voice actor. I forget which one, but like there was a lot of backlash with him because he had gotten married and had a kid, and there were a lot of obsessive fans who were upset about this
mm.
because they didn't want their fave, their oshi, their husbando to actually settle down and start a family, which is ugh.
I think like a more recent example of like the obsessive stalker kind of um actions was like during a Nogizaka video that was posted to their YouTube. It was of their youngest member, Ogawa Aya. She was going around the venue for their birthday live that recently happened. And like the dude's face was completely censored, but you can see like a random dude getting up close to her, following her around, like not even, it wasn't even 500 meters, like 500, yeah, meters away. So like it was very close, and he was completely following her around. And the most frustrating thing about that was like I saw some people on Twitter comparing it to a couple of female fans who were as far away as possible. Like I acknowledged them, even bowed to them,
I think I saw
and
you
like
tweet
this,
about that. Yeah.
it it was so frustrating. Like why would, no, that's not remotely comparable. Like I think she's still like 15, 16 as well. Like that, and that dude looked already about late 20s, early 30s. So I'm just
Oh god.
like no,
That's awful.
no. Yeah, she's only 16. She's turning 17 in June. Like I don't know.
And this is why
Like
we need to protect underage idols.
idols in general,
Idols in
because
general, yeah.
the biggest example in especially Sakamichi for me was the case of Kakizaki Memi. Like she like explicitly said she was leaving the group and quitting show business in general because of stalkers that were affecting her, not only her, but her family as well. Like her dad is an artist, yes, but like it really infuriates me that these types of people think it's okay not to just stalk a young girl, but like their family too. It's just like
Yeah,
why?
that's awful. There's so
It's
many
just
other
like
examples going through my head, but I don't want to linger on this anymore for fear of
yeah.
demonetizing this video. Not that we get monetized anyway, but I just like I don't want to linger
No.
around this anymore. This is upsetting. This is
Yeah,
already
pretty
upsetting
much.
as it is.
Yeah, pretty much. Blockberry, like back to K-pop and Luna specifically.
Uh-huh.
Like Blockberry honestly is one of the worst companies that I've heard of, and this is looking from the outside in. Like I can't imagine not only what the fans feel, but like the members themselves felt at the
Right.
time.
Because it's
Like,
one thing for like again going back to the unhealthy eating habits and diets and stuff like that. It's one thing to like unlearned these learned customs for like however many
exactly.
years it's been with their culture and society not respecting women that much, but it's another thing that they're just outright abusing their position of power and taking
Mm,
advantage of these girls who are all very young and not paying them a
mm.
dime for their worth. On top of all of that, Blockberry also notoriously has withheld a bunch of content that a lot of fans have either been asking for or speculating whether or not even exists at this point. One example here is Hedju / Olivia Hay talked a little bit about how they had in Hungary filmed an additional music video for one of their B-sides on their album, and it never got released. We know that it exists somewhere in the vault of Blockberry's database, wherever they keep this content, but it might never see the light of day anymore. And also, most infamously, the La Maison LOONA ballad album, which was a project that Jaden Jung, the creative director, had originally proposed was something he wanted to do, and we only had little snippets of previews for some of the tracks on there. And for the longest time, nobody knew if any of these songs were finished, if they would ever get released and see the light of day. And it turns out, no. The full versions never existed. It was just the short snippets of the previews, the demos that they recorded. Blockberry was presumably never had little interest in doing this, probably because doing stuff like this would have caused them an extra buck. This obviously caused a lot of rift with Jaden because this was sort of his passion project. He wanted to focus a lot more on the lore and the world building for Luna's storyline and the Lunaverse, but Blockberry just looked at that and said, that's expensive. I don't want to have to fly these girls out to a bunch of different countries and add to our paycheck. Can we just not do that? And so Jaden left. In hindsight, that was probably a good decision on his part because he got to go work on various other projects, like a boy group that I think was going to debut under Blockberry initially, but I guess they pieced out too and just went with Jaden to do their own thing. And then founded his own company in Mod House and is currently housing ARTMS, which is 5 of the girls. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. As well as Triple S, which is his new passion project, which is, I'm very excited for the full group debut of that. So, yeah, basically, they suck. And again, I think this gif on this slide is just the general feelings of a lot of people in the fan base. This is how they feel about them. So yeah, in the end...
I was about to say...
Go on.
I was about to say, like, it's one thing not paying the talent, right? But not paying the staff as well. It just blows my mind how sucky this company really is.
Right. Like, obviously, not everyone in the company is, and forgive my language for this, a total asshat. We know for a fact that there are some good apples in that company who have gone on to work on better things, some of it even being some of the post-BBC groups that the members are associated with now. But it's clear that the person in the top chair who is running this entire business is corrupt, selfish, and incredibly petty. Because they have been taking advantage of these girls, and probably even more considering the other trainees and artists who were under them, just wanting to make a quick buck with their talent, and then ruined their own reputation by basically putting up a hissy fit, trying to drag the rest of the members down with them, and obviously that did not succeed. And now no one wants to be associated with them at all. I found it incredibly amusing how, at one point, Jaden was talking about something and he just referred to them as the other company. Didn't even refer to them by name. So, yeah. So, where does that put us now in post-BBC era? Who are the current groups? Who is in them? and where are we going from here? So let's start with ARTMS, which I am very excited for because we are starting to get the preview concept photos for their upcoming first pre-release single with Birth. They just posted the first solo concept photo today for member Heejin, and she looks like a gothic princess porcelain doll, and I don't know if I'm mentally prepared to see goth Lolita Cherry, but I am nonetheless excited for this. So yeah, ARTMS or the ARTMS project. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Like I am curious with ARTMS the most because I think it was like a month or so after it got released. I just happened to listen to Air Force One from I think it was
Oh.
one Odd Eye Circle,
Uh-huh.
and I liked it. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
For a group I don't even really know much about, but I knew people liked the members of the group.
Mm-hmm.
I got interested, so I just decided to listen to it out of my own volition, and I really liked it.
All
Like,
right, cool. Yeah, Air Force
so yeah.
One and Version Up is very much a return to form for Odd Eye Circle, coming 6 years after their initial releases with Mix and Match and Max and Match. But yeah, so we have the 5 members of ARTMS, or the ARTMS project here. There was a lot of hype for this when this initially came out, because obviously this coming from Jaden's company Mod House, there was a lot of excitement for like, oh, are the members gonna all come to Jaden's company? Are we gonna get a restart of the lore, OT12, Loonaverse, and stuff like that? Obviously that did not happen, but that has not stopped Jaden from making tons of callbacks. And I'm very curious to see what direction they will go with the storyline with these 5 members, especially just based off of this. So yeah, initially starting out, we had Heejin, who was the first girl, first member of LOONA 1/3 as well, and Kimlip, Jinsol, and Cherry, all the members of Odd Eye Circle gathered here. Hassel, who was the leader of both 1/3 and LOONA as a whole, came in a little bit later. So yeah, so far the content that we have gotten for them has thusly been Odd Eye Circle's mini album, Heejin's first solo mini album with K, and Hassel with her single release of Plastic Candy, and a couple of solo live events like a busking event and a small theater event where she sang a couple of songs. Some of the members came on different days. Some of the other members actually went to like watch the event live, and so that led to some super cute moments where they were all singing 365 together in the audience and tearing up. It was so cute.
Oh.
So yeah, aside from that, we've gotten the dialogue or exploration log series where they're just like going out and doing stuff, or individual member vlogs. Like Cherry, for example, did a little vlog of when she and Kimlip visited Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida, when they were doing a US tour with Odd Eye Circle, and Cherry just getting to explore like Harry Potter world and stuff like that was so cute.
Oh, that sounds cute. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna lie, that sounds cute.
Yeah, I'll have to link that to you later if you want to see it.
I'm just happy that the girls are happier now. Like,
Yeah.
again, I'm looking from the outside in, but like, it's very evident that the girls are happier now than when they were under Blockberry, and
Mhm. Right.
it's that.
Obviously, we are not without controversy, because there's the whole thing
Oh
about
yeah.
the Cosmos app and the NFTs, which is like a whole thing. I know there's like
Um,
some people argument about like, but they have blockchains which are different from normal NFTs, and it doesn't cause that much harm to the environment comparatively, which like I get. And yeah, also like I did cave and download the app because I wanted to participate in the event Gravity, which was the poll to decide what their first pre-release single was going to be, which ended up being Birth, because yes, goth pop, dark concept, a lot of people have wanted to see something like this from OT12 LOONA, so if we're getting it with these 5, yes, I want to see it. That makes me so excited as well. I've talked about it before, but it makes me so excited to see what they will do for the rest of the debut album, Doll. Like, are we gonna get the uh official release of Crystal Ballad / Blooming Moon because Heejin and Hustle performed it at a live event? Are we gonna get a hyper ballad or other like proposed ballad songs for the ballad album? And what other concepts are we gonna explore with this? It makes me so excited. Following up from
I think. Oh no, go on.
no, you go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
Like, again, like I've not listened to much of ARTMS or anything from like LOOSSEMBLE either, but like I think the concepts, I guess, make me want to delve in deeper.
Uh-huh.
And of course, again, I have a lot of friends on Twitter who can help me with that, but like it's just nice to see that, like, again, going from the outside in, like, post-Blockberry, like, it nothing seems to have changed, but on
Right.
the
It's like,
outside, but on the inside, it's just
yeah,
it's
there's
what's in the
obviously there's
inside that
still a
changed a
lot of
lot.
stuff that they need to work out if they want to like, you know, get back together as OT12 and perform some of their old music, but like we found a couple workarounds. For example, with ARTMS, Odd Eye Circle were able to perform their solos and a lot of their older songs because I believe Jaden actually purchased the rights for Odd Eye Circle specifically, so not LOONA Odd Eye Circle, but Odd Eye Circle as its own entity. They could perform these songs. They've also done remakes of some of their older stuff, like they did an English remake of Sweet Crazy Love and a ARTMS remake of the Christmas song The Carol, which was super cute. I loved that music video. It was just them hanging out at this set, like just dancing and singing together, super cute. So yeah, we've definitely still got a ways to go if we do want a OT12 reunion to happen. But for the girls, like LOONA hasn't ended for them. They still refer to themselves as LOONA members and they still hold out hope for like, yeah, we don't want to say that we're disbanded and that we're not going to do LOONA stuff anymore. That like they still want to clearly be a full group
Mm.
again and do stuff together. So I am holding out
Mm.
hope as well. Moving on from that, LOOSSEMBLE, which again the name fitting enough is LOONA Assemble.
Assemble.
This is I think this quickly became a lot of people's favorite unit because like I remember initially there were so many people who were very skeptical about this, mainly because the member lineup that we have up here, with some of these members, they got very underrepresented under Blockberry. Like, little to no lines or screen time in songs or music videos. But now, the spotlight is all on them and they are shining. So, the LOOSSEMBLE girls, they had their debut EP, which was also titled LOOSSEMBLE, with the music video and title track Sensitive, which, if you have seen my reaction to it on our second channel, you will know I got very emotional over, because rather than trying to like do their own thing disconnected to the lore, they decided to hard lean into the real events and circumstances of the group and tie it into some of the lore and storyline, just basically creating their own like alternate story now, leaning way more into the sci-fi elements than any other LOONA release or LOONA music video has ever done, with the spaceship and bringing back the VV android lore, which kind of it was established with LOONA 1/3's Love and Live that Vivi is an outsider from the group because she is an android, but she wants to be human. And then after her solo kind of touching upon like past memories of like, ooh, this is her past life of before she got converted into an android, they never really touched upon it after that. We were just kind of left to assume that like, oh, okay, she's human now, cool. But then LOOSSEMBLE came in and said, no, we're not done. She's still an android. A friend of mine on the Bloodplum server actually asked about this question of like, why is Vivi the only one who's awake on the spaceship when the other members are sleeping? And Vivi outright told her, it's because I'm an android. So the Vivi android plotline is still ongoing here. And I am so excited to see where they will take this. They did confirm that their first comeback is happening in April. So that's exciting. On top of just the fact that all of the members participated in writing lyrics for the B-sides, Hyunjin completely worked on Day by Day, which was one of the B-sides on there. And member Eve, who is kind of off solo doing her own thing now, more on that later, she wrote Strawberry Soda for them and worked with them on that. Very cute. It's just been so cool to see these members who, with some of them not getting as much representation in the group, essentially BBC like focusing on like, oh, these are the super popular members, we're gonna push them to the front, and they're overshadowing a lot of other members, not giving them their due time in the spotlight. Now it's very equal and evenly divided. It's like there's some really good chemistry in the group, really good energy. Their web series LOOSSEMBLE Assemble, where it's like they're doing different activities and challenge, is so fun and entertaining to watch, and I love it. There's a reason why this was my pick for album of the year, is just because seeing this combination of members do something like this it made me so happy. Also, yeah, there were jokes on this of Twitter. If you go back and forth between ARTMS and LOONA, it is quite literally night and day. Like, you look at Sensitive and it's like very, again, sort of like a retro type throwback thing, but very bright dance number and stuff like that. And then you look at ARTMS and it's like Birth is gonna be this goth pop type concept. Is like, it's so funny to me. Two very contrasting concepts, but I love it. I love them both. Any thoughts you would like to share before we move on to the next slide?
Not on LOOSSEMBLE specifically, but the like the relation the relationship between fan and idol, no matter what genre of idol you were looking at, whether it's J-pop, K-pop, P-pop, even with like groups like MNL48, P-pop, like I think you'll always have a relationship with a specific idol, whether it's very personal or very casual, or whether you've met them before or not. Like that relationship really is there, and I think especially with Luna and now the subsequent groups and idols going solo, it's kind of like once you're in that, you just don't go back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another big drawing point for them, and why they kind of stuck through this and decided, like, you know what, we're not taking any of this anymore, because they did develop a very, like, family-esque bond. So yeah, it is very sweet to see that. Anyways, moving on next to CHUU. So CHUU is currently working as a soloist at ATRP. She had her first solo mini album, Howl, come out last year, as well as a lot of solo singles. There was the Chocolate single that she released for Valentine's Day, but also just OSTs, covers, collabs, different TV variety show appearances, lots of web series and web show appearances. It's like she's basically just been out there thriving. There were some continued disputes with Blockberry after the initial fallout happened, because again, Blockberry were putting up a hissy fit and refusing to back down and recognize that they have lost. But we talked a little bit about that in our last discussion video, that yeah, she won. The court recognized that BBC were full of shit and said, no, this girl's in the right. There has not been an official date yet for CHUU's next comeback release, but we know that it's in the works. We know that she's working on something. But for now, it's just a waiting process of when that's gonna be released. I'm thinking like maybe somewhere in like late spring, maybe early midsummer is kind of the time frame I'm thinking of right now. Just speculating. But yeah, just thinking about CHUU's journey from like where she started and where she is now is kind of crazy to think, the ups and downs that she's been through and the growth that she has expressed as a performer and an individual, of like how much she has matured as a person is like, damn. Do you have any more thoughts on this? Oh, I can see your typing. Oh, okay, you have to mute for a bit. Okay. In that case, we're gonna go on to the last member then, with Eve. So Eve was working freelance for a little while. She did do some stuff with Nine Music, again for the aforementioned Strawberry Soda for LOOSSEMBLE. However, recently she did announce that she is officially signed with a company, Pay Per Mill, I believe is how you say that. It's like a French name, which kind of fitting for Eve, since that's also a French spelling of the name Eve. She hasn't officially released anything like music wise yet, but she has been doing a lot of like blogs, on some websites. She set up an alternate account on Instagram for like photography and stuff like that, and YouTube as well, where she's been doing some YouTube covers like of 7 by Jungkook, or Yorushika's Sunny, which is a Japanese cover that was really good. So yeah, so nothing from her yet. Also her vlog, e-vlog, which is a very cute pun in that, where she went to Japan, and then also recently where she had a little get-together celebration party with her company and some of the other LOONA members who the CEO invited to like celebrate her signing with the company and stuff like that. That was very cute. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see what kind of direction Eve is gonna go for with this new company, because from what I've seen, from what I've seen and other fans have showcased with the other artists who are signed under this company, Paper Mill, it seems like a lot of the artists under there are like hip hop or alt pop or stuff like that. So it's gonna be interesting to see where Eve is gonna go with this. Like, she has showcased her vocals before, has a very nice voice, and also part of the main dancer line in LOONA and stuff like that. She's a really good dancer. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to see. While I'm muted, I'm hearing her Sunny cover, and OMG, you're right, her voice is so good. Yeah, it is a really, really nice voice. Also, oh, I forgot to put this on here, but Eve has also been taking acting lessons because she has expressed a little bit of an interest in maybe going into acting. So it'll be interesting to see if we get actress Eve in the future. Like, I definitely want to see more acting jobs from the other members as well. Heejin, talking about post BBC, because we're not going to talk about Umana, which was a web drama that they did while they were under BBC. But talking about post LOONA, the most that we have gotten is Heejin solo was like a supporting character in a short drama series. But that's kind of about it. We haven't gotten that much acting from the members as well. CHUU as well. Back in 2018, 2019, I think she had did a web drama as well called Dating Class with former Promise 9 member Jang Gyuri. She was still in the group at that time, but the Dating Class drama was really good, and CHUU had some really good acting in that. So yeah, I'm curious to see if we'll get like more member acting in the future, but like especially for Eve too, I think it's gonna be cool to see what direction she takes as both, as just in general, like as an artist and as an idol. Like, seeing her do different things is gonna be so cool to see what she's gonna go for. And yeah, that basically does it for this. So I hope you guys liked this. I hope you enjoyed this. And Michael, I hope that this was very informative for you, showing a little bit more insight into like the group and the members and like kind of what they're all doing at the moment. Since he's muted, I'm waiting for his reply on that now. Got a bit more context aside from Twitter. Okay, yeah, that's good. That's good. And I hope this helped for any of you who were watching along with us as we were doing this. So if you like this, be sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more content. And we'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, bye bye!